那你这个，你这个没开是吗？
是吗？
这个摄像头是好像是电脑摄像头。
对啊，因为你选择的是连接电脑设备。
Web camera。
要电东西吗？
怎么这么
糊？
我好难看啊！
我看看，
我好难看，
没有我难看吗？
真的是很难看啊！
你看我呢？
要脱衣服要好一点。为什么这么难看啊？要好一点。
你要不擦一下嘛？我拿喷出来。
我先开启一眼。
这个好糊啊！
我先估计，我先。
透光。
嗯。
清楚了吗？
我先估一下，我也不难。好像。 Hello. Hi, don't you could you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear. So, how's your day?
It's great. It's great.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, I think it's quite earlier, and we were
Yeah.
still waiting for another three panelists.
Yes, sure.
Sure.
So this is where the organizers and the panelists will basically,
Sorry?
so I understand that like normal audience, they would use, another link, right? And this is just the internal link for the
Yes.
panelists. Yeah.
Yes. For speakers, I just sent you is only speakers could entering. And
Mm,
for audience, they need to register and organizer
mm.
will approve them to entering to come.
Yeah. So at the Q&A session, right?
Yes,
So the question raised by the audience would be,
yes. It would be shown on the Zoom platform, and I will remind you. Yeah.
so they will type the question or they speak.
Yes. Actually, from our experience, they always would like to type on the Q&A box, online box.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we will see that, right?
Yes. No worries.
So basically, I will be the one who assign relevant question to relevant panelists. Okay.
Yeah. Also, if after panel discussion, there might be some audience raise up hands or type on questions, and I will cue you, and you could lead the panelists to answering these questions to find if it is valuable to answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you mind to open your camera or only use microphone?
Okay, I can try.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, the background looks good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Is that Mr. Wu Wing? Hello, could you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, wonderfully. So how's it going for today?
it's good. How are you?
Quite good. Thanks for asking. And also, our moderator is here. I think, okay, it's quite clear for your video.
Hi, Wu, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Just this really quick.
Yeah.
Marketing team is to fetch me to business.
Nice backdrop.
Okay. All right, I'm good now. Can you? You can't read the letter, right? Can you?
I think if I zoom in a bit, then I can see it.
But
I
is
think
that
it
like?
depending on kind of view that we show.
It looked like it's like reverse or something.
Hello.
Yeah, seems like another speaker. Patri, are you there? Yes. So let me change your name firstly. Wait a moment. So here we. You. Okay, so I think the name is correct. And also, yeah, how's your day? And I think a long time no see you.
Oh, we've seen it a few days ago, right?
Okay, sounds great. So I think we still waiting for another panelist coming from the Continuum Solis, Tony Cao. Oh, by the way, I think Wing's background is quite good.
Whose background? It's good.
I think your background is quite good.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, fun. Actually, last time I mined Mr. Boris. So his back is also coming from Share of International, and also when he shows up, and his background always like the pull up. Right, good.
Right. That's good. I mean, we have a marketing team who's very active. So,
Yes, fantastic.
In the last call, I remember that Mr. Wu will have a few slides about your company.
Yeah. Who just this morning sent to me, and I received, and I will show if Mr. Wu Wing would like to play the PPT.
yeah, just I mean, you said 1 or 2 minutes, so I'll be really quick.
Sure. Oh, I think another panelist is here. Hi, Tony. Could you hear me? Just change your name. Hello, could you hear me? Oops. Let me check again. Hi, Tony. Could you hear me? And you could open your microphone or video. I think he has some technical issues, so we need to wait for several minutes. Hello, Tony.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, clearly I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So I think we will start at 3 p.m. Singapore time, 2 p.m. Vietnam time,
Alright.
and we are still waiting in 5 minutes. So we will start. Is that suitable for every speakers and audience?
Oh.
By the way, another question for Mr. Tony. You want me to play the video PPT for your solo presentation, or you will do that by yourself? Okay. So I think the time is quite suitable to say hello to everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Miranda coming from New Venture Corporation. So I think this year is the second one webinar to show us and you to have a very good achievement about the New Venture Corporation. So now you could find on your screen is our topic, the webinar regarding of the Vietnam rooftop solar recording major boom 2020 and what's next for 2021. So this webinar will record around 60 to 90 minutes. So thanks, firstly, thanks for all patience here. And now I'd like to introduce for industry solar power and or renewable energy industry power the famous persons here and the speakers here. So you could find the first one is Mr. Tony Cao. He is a technical senior manager from Solis. So actually, the Tony is a graduate from Northeastern University and a master degree in energy system. So with a great passion on renewable energy industry and Internet of Energy, Tony Cao is trying to merge what he has learned into current international growing trend. So during the days abroad, he has followed with a few projects of energy consumption analysis. So in 2015, he started at the fundamental level technical support role in road monitoring system and maintenance. So actually he is pushing towards to the renewable energy field. So the second speaker, it must be Mr. Wu Wing, head of sales from Share Oak International. And Wu had spent almost 10 years in banking and marketing in the United States as well as Vietnam. Realizing the potential of renewable energy and his inner passion for social responsibility, Wu built a stand-up company that commercializes a patented vitamins technology that does not only trains the unsorted waste, but also converts into energy. So the next page is our old friend, Pierre Manuel, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer from LY's Energy Group. In Patry is the company, the LY Energy Group is a Singapore company that finance, builds, owns, and operates solar facilities for corporation, for commercial industry in the Southeast Asia region. So the company was created in 2013 in Singapore and is considered a pioneer of renewable energy in the region. So LYSS Energy has subsidiaries all around the region in Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So the last speaker also is our today's moderator. So his name is Dang Chi Liu, the founder and partner from DM Vietnam LLC law firm. His practice focuses on M&A and project development. He acts for various clients on investment into energy and infrastructure projects in Vietnam by way of both greenfield development and project acquisition. And also he has extensive experience in developing the legal framework on power, renewable energy, and infrastructure areas in Vietnam by providing technology assistance to the government and the relevant stakeholders. So I think these four is our respected speakers. So it's a little update and a change for last year's webinar held by New Venture. So that is the agenda for today's webinar. You could find that I will be the host, and the second one is Solis from the Tony Cao from Solis will do the 10 minutes presentation and then give 55 minutes to have the panel discussion. So I think after panel discussion is Q&A session, lottery session, and closing. So it's quite clear for all speakers and audience to know what's the webinar's agenda and procedure. So about new ventures, actually we are dedicated to supporting key investors and developers for successful development and investment in Asia Pacific's renewable energy sector. So you could find our program footprints across like the Asia Pacific, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Turkey, and also the Middle East. So I would like to go quickly for this page. This is the housekeeping news for all audience. So if you have any questions or technical issues, you could use the Q&A box. So that's quite convenient for all the speakers audience to know what's your ideas, what's your opinions about this webinar. So I think that's the all for my PPT. So now I like to give the microphone to our Tony Tao. So hi Tony, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sure. So could you kindly share your screen now?
Okay.
So, yeah, so let me. Okay. Yeah, actually, a tips that hope all speakers and audience could know. Tony Tao has some technical problem about his video, so he will only use a microphone. So thanks for all understanding for that. So actually now you could start your presentation, Tony.
All right. Thank you, Miranda. And thanks for New Venture to build this platform so that our company can have a showroom in this solar industry. So the topic I'm going to cover today is the development trend of Vietnam commercial and industrial market and the way to maximize efficiency with our fifth generation smart inverters. So this is not too long, just 3 sections. We'll introduce a development trend of the Vietnam market, and then I will make a short introduction of our company and our commercial and industrial solutions. And finally, I will show you a case references. So this is our market view or market perspective of the Asian market for the photovoltaics. So you can see, so Vietnam showing in the brown column is the biggest market out of all the Asian countries in past few years, starting from 2019. And this graph shows the investment in the PV industry, and also showing the orange area still coming from the Vietnam market. So all these policies, based on our perspectives, will contribute to the to this trend. They have the FIT, the tax incentives, auctions, and also some renewable energy credits. So that's a brief view about the Asian market or Vietnam market. Then we'll go into the next section. I will introduce you to Solis, the Jingdong company, as well as with our CNI solutions. So this is a timeline of our company. So Solis was founded in 2005. And in 2015, we installed an inverter in Eiffel Tower in France, Paris. And in 2018, we become the only company in China that the awards for 4 consecutive years. And in 2019, we become the first public traded company with a primary focus on string inverters. And last year, we were celebrating our 15th anniversary. So these are some awards received by our company. It's either from the DNVGL, from Bloomberg, NEF, and also we were certified as well in the Euro market. So we're trying to deliver a high-level quality product to the customers. So all the parts in our inverter, it's coming from the top level producers or manufacturers of the world. So we're using the IGBT from the Infineon, using the LCD screen from Zettler, and also we use the connectors from Panasonic. So this page shows the technologies or features of the Solis inverters, especially for the industrial and commercial use. So for this market region, we have 80K model, 100K model, and a 110K model. So we were trying to focus on maximizing the efficiency of the inverter. So now it's going to be more than 98%. So it's hitting to 99%. Also, the inverter can be compatible with the bifacial modules, and they have a 9 MPPTs or 10 MPPTs. And also the inverter can sustain 10% more with the AC load extra. Also, we have the PID recovery solution integrated with the inverter. Also, we have a few features trying to lower the cost for the customer, so that we designed a 2-in-1 one connector configuration. We use aluminum AC cable instead of a copper cable. And also we use the PLC communication, which is power line communication, to save cost of the infrastructure for the communication. And for the safety and the reliability, we were using the fuseless design, since there's some problems with the fuses, such as like if there's some malfunctions, or it's not very convenient to replace the fuse. So we have the breaker or the switch instead of the fuse. And also our inverter is ranked in type 2 SPD for both the DC and AC side, the IP66 protection level, and we have the redundant fan cooling along with AFSI protection. So for the operation and maintenance, we can control the inverter remotely, either control it or upgrade. And also we have Solis Cloud, which is a monitoring platform, which is for the customer to be convenient to monitor their devices directly through their phone or any mobile terminals. So a few emphases on these features. So the first one, this is a basic configuration, connection configuration of the inverter for the commercial use. So we usually connect inverters in parallel, and the inverters the AC output will be combined in a combiner box. Then it will go through a low voltage cabinet before it's going to either to the load or sending the power to the grid. And this page and next page is showing our data logger part. So we have two kinds of data logger. First one is data logger stick, which is shown in this page. So one inverter with one data logger. And the data logger will be connected to the monitoring platform wirelessly, either through a Wi-Fi router, GPRS, you use a LAN cable to do the communication. Also, we have a data logger box. So the box will, different from the data logger stick, the box will connect to 10 at the same time. And then it's the same as the stick. It will connect to the monitoring platform through the router or GPRS. And we have for the GPRS method, we have the SIM card in the logger. So this page is showing the feature of the power line communication. So we are trying to send the signal, the communication signal through the existing power line for the AC, so that it can save the cost for building the extra communication infrastructures. And then we have a Solis PLC CCO. That's a device to turn the PLC signal into the RS-485 signal. Then it's going to through the monitoring box to the monitoring platform. So this is a feature for the 2-in-1 white connector. That's configuration was designed to save the cost on the cable. So basically, you can connect 2 strings of the solar panels with 1 cable into the inverter. So see here, it's the overall DC wiring cost could be reduced around 20%. Okay. And then this is another feature for the cost saving. It's we use aluminum cable instead of the copper cable. So this is an EPM device. So we use this device trying to control the power output of the inverter, so that there's no extra or unwanted power into the grid. So this is a PID function. We have a PID board built inside the inverter, so that it can now can improve the quality, the performance of the solar panel. So this is AFSI function and monitoring platform for the Solis Cloud. And finally, there's a few case references built by Solis. So I think we have these 3 projects in Vietnam, and also we have a 2 megawatts project in Netherlands. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, yes, thanks, Tony, and thanks for Solis' help. So I think now I would like to give the microphone, I think, to the Danchi Liu. So, and he will lead this panel discussion for 3 panelists and all audience.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Danchi Liu. I am a partner of DNA Vietnam LLC, a local law firm based in Hanoi. Last few years, I have been assisting our client to acquire and develop various renewable projects, both solar and wind. And it is my great pleasure today to be the moderator of this session. To kick off the discussion, we hear about the solution and what Solis have been doing in Vietnam. And I would also like to invite Mr. Vũ Nguyen and Pierre Manuel to make a short introduction about your company and the activity that your company have been doing on the market. So may I go with Mr. Vũ Nguyen first? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Liu. Thank you, Neo Venture, for inviting me to this incredible short conference, I guess. So just a brief introduction about about Shayop International. And my name is Boomin. I'm the head of sales for Shayop International. Miranda, can you help me with the presentation, please?
Yes, wait a moment.
Okay, thank you. So Shayop International started in 2002 as a wind energy developer. So during the last more than 18 years, we developed 967 megawatt of wind, a few in tidal, and a lot in solar. And we are globally present in several countries: UK, Vietnam, Indonesia, Iraq, Zimbabwe, and Colombia. And we have been present in Vietnam since 2018. So we've been here for almost 3 years, and I think we are probably one of the most successful developer in Vietnam. Next slide, please. So in Vietnam, we started the operation in summer of 2019, sorry. And at this point, our team is almost 80 people. But this slide is a bit outdated, so I think it's at the moment it's close to 100 people. We have 11 different nationalities, because I mean, part of that is the sales team. For example, our sales team working with different companies, Korean, Japanese. We want to be able to communicate with the client very effectively. So that's why we do have different nationalities. At the moment, we have about 720 projects, and it's growing. Next slide, please. So we started in the summer of 2019, and in 2019 we were able to commercialize. We were able to build 12 megawatt peak projects, and by the end of 2020 we were able to build 47 megawatt peak projects in Vietnam alone. So I think we are probably, we're probably one of the developer with the most projects in Vietnam, if not the most. And in 2021, we want to build up to about 500 megawatt peak projects. Next, please. Oh, I think that's it. Okay. So just a short, brief introduction about Shayop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vu Nguyen. It's very impressive statistic about your company. So yeah, may I move on to Pierre Manuel? Can you give us some introduction about the activity that your company have been doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here and listen to this webinar. So my company is LOS Energy. Headquarters is based in Singapore, but we have subsidiaries all around the region, especially in Vietnam, but also in Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. We are really focused on SCA, and as Mr. Nguyen, actually, we are a solar developer in the region. We are specialized in solar. We are doing it for almost 10 years now, and with a strong focus on commercial and industrial rooftops markets. So we are not doing the utility scale project. Rooftop is really our main focus. And we are in Vietnam. We have a team in Vietnam based in Ho Chi Minh, and with, if I'm not wrong, 7 people working there, sales, engineer, etc., to support our clients on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, and basically what we are doing is financing the project to provide PPA to our clients. So it's zero capex solution for our clients, and we build it and operate it on a long-term basis, so we can provide really safe and reliable solutions to our clients.
Thank you, Pierre Manuel. Yeah, thank you, the panelists, for your introduction. So before I move on to the specific question to the panelists, I just want to give a quick background on the current status of rooftop solar policy and market. just to set the context for the discussion. So I guess as all the audience have already known, the rooftop solar market in Vietnam started to grow since the middle of 2017, together with the issuance of Decision 11 by the Prime Minister, offering a feed-in tariff of 9.35 cents per kilowatt hour. And it was applicable to all the projects that reached COD before July 2019. And after July 2019, the feed-in tariff was reduced to 8.38 cents under Decision 13 issued by the Prime Minister. And this second feed-in tariff is applicable to the rooftop solar project reaching COD before end of 2020. So by end of 2020, there have been over 100,000 rooftop solar system installed in Vietnam with a total capacity of around 9.7 gigawatt, which is a very impressive figure, despite all the impact of the COVID-19. Now we are waiting for the government to issue the new policy for rooftop solar in the coming time. So I guess it is a very good time for all of us to sit down together, reflect what we have done in the past few exciting years, and more importantly, to discuss what we expect in the future. So with that context, I would have the first question to Pierre Manuel and Mr. Vũ Nguyen. So my first question is, looking at what the rooftop solar market has achieved by end of 2020, what do you consider the most successful achievement of the feed-in tariff regime in relation to the development of the rooftop solar market? And what do you think the market player and the government could or should have done better? So may I go with Pierre Manuel first?
Okay, thank you. So as you said, the feed-in tariff was a huge success. By the end of 2019, I think that the solar rooftop size was, the total rooftop size was around 400 megawatt peak, more or less. And now it's 9.5 gigawatt peak. So the increase is amazing, actually. We multiplied by almost 30 the size of the system in Vietnam, which is amazing. So from my point of view, the market players, the government, EVN, and clients played a role here. And the result is a huge investment in Vietnam. My estimation is around 6 billion USD in solar industry over 2020, which is amazing. And as shown by Tony before, it's the only country which such figures in the region. So I think that's pretty successful. I think that government and EVN was probably not prepared for such a success. And so far, what we've seen is that there is some difficulties for EVN to balance and stabilize the grid, especially during Tet holidays, where the factories were using less energy. There have been quite a lot of curtailments on solar panels. So I think it's too early in 2021 to say that to say what could have been done better. I think that to be prepared to this increase would have been better. So yeah, if EVN can have been more prepared, I think it would have been better. But I don't know if it was possible, and the real consequences will be really known in the following months. It's probably too early to say exactly what will be consequences.
Yeah, thank you. So may I hear from Mr. Vũ Nguyen? Do you share the same view?
I totally agree with Pierre about the most impressive thing that we did was that we were able to achieve our target for 2025, which is supposed to be uh, in the next 5 years, and we're able to achieve it in just 1 year. So the results is incredible. This put us on the map as one of the countries with the fastest developing renewable in the world. But I mean, how on the other end, however, I think I could also Pierre mentioned this, that it's a bit faster than the Vietnamese government has originally anticipated, because they have this plan for 5 years. So I think if they could have a chance to do it again, I mean, from my personal experience, I think that they would try to slow things down a bit. So I think there's two things that I would have could have done. So at the beginning of 2019, there are a big discussion on what is the exact definition of solar rooftop projects. So there was a lot of projects where they built greenhouses, whether it's considered rooftop. There wasn't any official answer where people built a lot of like greenhouses, where just the construction is very simple, a lot of agriculture at the bottom, and solar rooftop on top. So that put that push that was very very profitable. So that's something that should have clarified from the beginning. And the second thing that I would suggest is that we probably should lift the limit from the solar rooftop project. So at the moment, the limit is 1 megawatt peak per projects. And from my experience, there's companies that could have installed 10 megawatt peak project at one location. So instead of limiting the capacity, we probably should have something else like, for example, in one clearer definition of the solar rooftop projects. So we should lift. My suggestion that we should lift the limit capacity of 1 megawatt peak in Vietnam. So yeah, so that's my my 2 cents on what could have done better, or could have been done better.
Yeah, thank you. I totally share your point on policy. I mean, as a lawyer as well, I wish that the government should have issue the policy much earlier. We got the new second feed quite late, and then people rush to finish all the project, and of course it presents a lot of challenges, and also the clarification in terms of what it means by a rooftop system. And when all the farms they set up just to have a roof. Yeah. So my second question would be to Mr. Tony Cao. From your experience so far in Vietnam, can you please share some key challenges that you had to face during the development of rooftop solar project in Vietnam, and how did you deal with those challenges?
Okay. Sorry. So for the 2019, it was a bumper year for the Vietnam solar. Excuse me, sorry. For the Vietnam's PV industry. So I showed that in the presentation that Vietnam overtook Thailand for big amount of the solar the photovoltaics installations, more than 4 gigawatts, I guess. And the electricity generation from the solar panels reached 4.2 terawatt hours for the year 2019. So this is, as all the other panelists said, this is a boost, a boom developing for the market. But I think the public's demand, along with government decisions or government incentives, the major driver for this market boost. So not for Vietnam, the whole world is turning their sights to the renewable energies. The reasons is obvious that we have those air pollutions from the burning the coal or the natural gas, and you know, we also have this energy dependence to those, you know, different countries. But with the renewable energy resources, or, you know, distributed renewable energy sources, most of the countries can, you know, they can attain their energy freedom. So also we have this this virus for the last year and this year. So in this specific situation, people are encouraged to stay at home. Then they will need energy much better than ever. So these are all the opportunities we see from the renewable energies. Also for Vietnam, as it's a location, you know, they have plenty of sunshine, and it's, you know, it's along the sea coast. I think it's a very good trend for the market to accept the solar. But again, I mean, the financial issue is probably the major challenge will be seen by the industry, you know, because based on my knowledge, not all the banks they're ready to loan or to lend money to the those projects. So not all of the banks, they're still facing some investment risk, or they have some worries about the project. So probably a financial issue might be the very challenge based on my knowledge.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, because you are talking about, you know, the financial part of you know, the development side. So I have a question to Mr. Vũ Nguyen, as a person who, you know, been in the banking finance area for a long time. So how challenging do you see in getting financing for rooftop solar projects in Vietnam, and what are the financing models that you normally see on the market? Is it, you know, local bank, or is it international bank, or, you know, in terms of the bankability of, you know, rooftop solar project, and, you know, compared with the solar farm project, is there any difference between the two?
Typically the local financing are available. However, almost all of the projects, even utility scale projects, are require international financing, but it's more for equity projects. So if the developer wants to scale up their business, so instead, I see during the last year, I see a lot of local developer. They were able to build a few projects, but then if they want to build up to about 100 megawatt peak projects, then they would require to try to reach out to international financing. But in order to obtain this fund, it's not easy. So you have the investor, the international investor, that you have a very detailed DD process and due diligence process, and also a readily available pools of projects. So when the international investor look at your projects, they know that the projects are there and they're ready to just disperse the fund. So there's not very I mean, the second part is more difficult for local investor to show international investor that they have many projects already. So that's probably one of our advantage for as being international. We do have a really lengthy process to build projects, but then in return, it reduces the risk for our investor.
Yeah, do you see any difference between, you know, when you sell the power to EVN, or you sell the power to the roof owner, for example? would it make any difference in terms of the bankability of the project?
Actually, no. For us, I mean, you are right. It's more about the credit worthiness of the client. But EVN is, I guess, their credit is good enough for us. and I mean, there's some company that we are working with as a producer, export for the textile export producer. So their credit is quite high. I mean, sometimes some of the company are even higher than EVN. So for us, they are quite similar in terms of investment.
Yeah, thank you. So my next question would be to Pierre Manuel. So we're talking about the credit worthiness of the client that you sign PPA with. So my question to you is, how do you choose the client that you sign the PPA with, and do you have any preference between C client or I client, or do you have any minimum size of the project that you put in your criteria? Yeah.
Thank you for asking. First of all, at LOS Energy, we try to find a solution for all type of clients who want solar on their rooftop. If it's not through a PPA, it can also be through auto purchase or leasing. So there is many solutions, not only PPA. That's first thing. So everybody can have solar panel on their rooftop at some point. But you are right, developers cannot provide PPA to everybody. There is a financial strength, you're right, but and also the size. So just a quick reminder, maybe for the audience, about the PPA. The concept is really simple. LYS invest all CapEx and OpEx and sells the energy produced on site to the client or to the grid during a period of 15 to 25 years, depending on the contract. And there is different mechanism. It can be a fixed price, where usually the solar rate is usually 30 to 50% lower than the grid rate. It can be a discount of tariff. It can be many things, but basically it's where the developer invests and operates the installation and sells the energy to the client. So once it's said, so this kind of PPA usually is not interesting below 200 kilowatt peak, which is equivalent to a rooftop of 2,000 square meter, more or less, depending on the rooftop. And it's not interesting because there is fixed price to build such installation. And so the more expensive it is at the beginning, the more expensive the price is. So usually below 200 kilowatt peak, the price provided to the clients is higher than the grid price. So it's not always really interesting, but it's still green energy for a fixed price. So it can be done, but usually it's not really interesting below a 200 kilowatt peak. And now that there is no feed-in tariff anymore, as developer, when we are talking about rooftop, we are trying to focus on client with high consumption, or at least with a stable consumption 7 days a week, so that the energy not consumed on site is not lost. Because if people are consuming 6 days and they are closed during 7th day, our solar panels will produce energy all along the week. So the production during Sunday will be lost. So of course, this loss has to be factored in the PPA. So it means that if the people are not consuming 100% of what we produce, the consequence is that there will be a higher price on the PPA. So here again, in this period where there is no feed-in tariff, we are trying to focus on these people who are consuming 7 days a week. I don't know if it answers your questions. It's not really commercial on one side and industrial on the other side. It more depends on the load profile of the client, actually. When there were feed-in tariff, this was not the question, actually. It was more the size of the system and the commercial strength of the client. Basically, if the client was strong enough, and the rooftop was good enough, and technically we can we could have installed things, then and it's big enough, then the PPA is was easy to do actually. Okay, it's changing a little bit now that there is no feed-in tariff, and it might change again when there will be new feed-in tariff.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Obviously, the business model quite different in terms of who will sell the power to. And in relation to this, I have a question to Mr. Tony Cao. Because on the market, as you mentioned, you can sell power to rooftop owner, or you can sell power to EVN, or you can combine both of them. So my question is, how you see your different model was applied, in the past, in what scenario people would sell to the roof owner, in what scenario they would sell entirely to EVN, or in what situation they sell to both, sell to rooftop owner, and excess power would be sold to the grid. And then, going forward, do you agree that self-consumption would be something that the developer should focus on?
Okay. I guess this it depends, because Solis, we are a inverter manufacturers, where instead of like the EPC or project managing company. So probably we don't have a very good overview about the whole market. But for my based on my knowledge, I guess it depends on the demand of the different owners. Probably some owners, they have the land, or they have a house, and basically for the common sense, if I need a free energy, so I will just install the solar panels and inverters to get the energy. But if we regard my house or the roof as an asset, and I want to invest into this asset, we want to collect some payback. So that's a most common business model for either residential use or commercial use. So for Vietnam, I guess it also depends. Some people, if they have money and they want to do the investments, so what they're expecting is for the payback. But for those residential use, they probably only just want to get the energy instead of the money. Again, I guess it's also related to the government incentives, or the policies or regulations, like how the government wants to lead people to some models. So if I mean, it's still even Vietnam has a big market, like the fast development last year. It's still in the starting phase of this renewable energy road. People are still trying to find the best way. Right now, it's only a starting phase. So it only depends on also depends on the financial process. So if it's a very long time, I mean, if you want to get money very long time, get payback very long time, it's probably not a good model to do it. But if you have a very good incentives, like if you sell the power to the grid and you get very good revenues, and also another important point is that the grid can also consume those renewable energy power. So that would be a good model. So it's not I mean, it's not a single question. I think it's a very comprehensive a question. So it depends on a lot of elements. So that's my opinion. And also, I know probably the government have some regulations that will separate the projects, like less than 1 megawatts or bigger than 1 megawatts. So for in China, like smaller projects or residential use, they only just want to satisfy their energy demand. But for the commercial or industrial use, they probably will send the power to the grid and to get the payback, as long as with the utility construction. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. So, Mr. Wungen, may I know, like, the project that Shyok have completed, and what is the model that you use in majority of your project? You sell both to EVN and to rooftop owner, or?
We for 2020 projects, we did both. There was both model where we sell 100% to EVN, and there's also a model that we sell a lot of the majority of the electricity to our client, the roof owner.
Yeah, thank you. And I also have another question for you, Mr. Wu. So Shyok is a international developer. So my question to you is: do you see any difference in your developing rooftop solar projects in Vietnam between your local developer and international developer? And what are the advantages that you see that local developer have over foreign developers and vice versa?
That's an interesting question. I think the first difference is the experience. So international developers like Shyok tend to have more experience in terms of developing projects, renewable energy project, of course, while the industry for renewable energy in Vietnam had just begun in the recent years. Particularly, Shyok has more than 18 years of experience. And with that, we can kind of anticipate where the market is moving toward or heading to. And we are preparing necessary strategies to adapt to those changes just in case it happens. And there's also many lessons that we have learned from the UK which is somewhat quite similar to what Vietnam is going through at the moment. And that's the first one. And I think the second difference is the risk appetite. So international developer with cheaper financing are required to target projects with lower risk. So for example, in terms of our experience, our contracts are a lot longer than the local contracts. Say, given a PPA, for example, a PPA with our roof owners are between 50 to 70 pages long compared to the local contract, which is like 3 or 4 pages. Our DD process is also a lot longer. We have different teams to take care of each different steps. And at the end of the day, I think we can give our investors some peace of mind. But also it means that the local investor have advantage in this, because that sometimes the roof owner that we work with are just not patient enough to going through the process, or they just don't want to read the whole contracts. So I think that's the two main difference between local and international developers.
Thank you. Yeah, also from my end, from legal perspective, I also see some difference in terms of the procedure to make investment project in Vietnam. Of course, in the local company, they can register whatever business they want, and they do it very quick. But for investor, we have the investment law, for investment regulation, and everything. So it can be time consuming as well.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for that. So now we have discussed what we have done and what we have experienced, but the issue now is that we are still waiting for the new policy from the government. What would be whether there would be a new fit for rooftop solar and things like that. And so I have a question to Pierre Manuel that as we're waiting for the new policy, so what are the key elements that you think the policy should have to keep the market momentum? Either by continuing certain incentive or introducing new incentive or things like that. So what's your opinion about that?
So as you can imagine, I don't have any crystal ball, so I cannot really say what will be the next the next policy. So
yeah.
what I think is that the most important here is to have visibility for investors, for clients, for EVN, for everybody. I think the most important is to have visibility, because disruption is quite difficult for market players, for everybody. So I think that there will be like some decrease in the in solar industry in the following months, waiting for the new feed-in tariff, for example. And I don't know if you've seen the figures presented by Tony at the beginning, but in Thailand there were like a huge increase. I think it was in 2018 or something, like 2019, and then they stopped they stopped the feed-in tariff, and the export is not allowed anymore in Thailand. And the number of solar projects in Thailand dropped quite significantly. So if there is no feed-in tariff at all, it's a possibility, and it will definitely drop the number of solar projects. But actually, I think it would be better to have this, to say, okay, there won't be any feed-in tariff, no export anymore, because we are not capable to stabilize the grid, etc., than to not knowing anything. So once again, I think that the visibility is the most important thing. And after that, I'd say there is not one single solution, and it depends on the capability of EVN to absorb this solar energy and the strategy of the government of Vietnam. For example, so if we see what is happening around in the region, in Thailand, there is no export at all, because the grid is not capable to absorb the extra energy. So if this is the case in Vietnam, it's possible that there won't be any export anymore for this reason. So we might see a market really focus on self-consumption. If you look at Singapore, where there is quite a lot of visibility, because the law doesn't change a lot regarding solar, it's a floating market price. It means that the price of the feed-in tariff is changing every half an hour, and it's a market price. It means that the grid will buy the solar energy at the same price as it buys the energy from coal or gas, etc. Malaysia just changed from net metering to this new floating market price too. Indonesia is doing net metering. It means that it's an offset on your electricity bill. You can offset only 65% of your energy production, but it's almost the same. It's net metering. So as you can see, there is different solution in every country around the region. So I cannot, and I won't give any advice to Vietnamese government. I'm not, I don't have all the keys to decide. It depends on many things, depending on if they want to see an increase, if they want to stabilize the solar industry, or if they want to decrease because EVN for any reason cannot absorb the energy. So depending on that, they will probably make a decision. And yeah, so I don't have any, if they want to keep the momentum, as you say, if they want to keep the solar as high as it is right now, they should definitely continue with the feed-in tariff as it was last year.
Yeah, thank you. So in case of, in terms of, for plan B, if there's no export, as you mentioned in Thailand, for example, then self-consumption would be the way to go. And in that case, do you see that, the market is still attractive for self-consumption model?
Yes, for sure it is. It's not as attractive as it was with feed-in tariff, but it depends on the client in this case. As I explained before, if you have a client who is consuming 7 days a week, of course, it's still really interesting because there is no export at all. I think that the best parallel will be Thailand, where there is no export at all. And there is still a solar developer there and quite a lot of projects and quite a lot of investments. So it's still possible, but not for everyone. In this case, it will be only for huge consumer or people who are consuming 7 days a week.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is, I hope I can hear from both Mr. Vũ Nguyen as a developer and from Mr. Tony Cao as a supplier contractor. So we talk about the case where there's no export, but in the scenario where the feed-in tariff regime still continued, it has been reported or kind of rumor that the new feed-in tariff would be reduced compared with the second feed, and it may also vary based on certain elements such as the capacity of the rooftop system, or the location of the system, depending on the solar radiation or the load in the area. So what do you think the maximum reduction in the tariff that can be acceptable for developer to keep the future project financially viable? And do you think that the feed-in tariff should vary based on the location of the project or the capacity of the projects?
Okay, so I guess with the recent development last year, and from our conversation with the government officials from MOIT, I think, I guess, yes, there will be a new fit for solar rooftop. And second, the fit 3 is going to be lower than the fit 2. So our financial models show that we're looking at about 15% decrease for fit 3 from fit 2. Then our project would still be financially feasible. But if its decrease is more than that, so there will be definitely some serious cost cutting in terms of investment. So for example, the EP price should be lower, a lot lower. That means that, or not just EPC, but all the stakeholders are going to take less profit. But then I believe that eventually fit 3 is still going to make the market attractive in 2021. So if the government decide to have different fit regime, either by region or by capacity, I think it will be great for the market, because we will be looking at installing a lower capacity region, or low sun-hour region. Otherwise, it would not have been at our radar or our developers. Therefore, it would put less load on the national grid. So there's a lot of talk about whether the national grid could take that much solar capacity. So if it's something that the government decide to do, then I think that's going to be very interesting in 2021 for everybody, all the stakeholder in solar rooftop industry.
Thank you. Mr. Tony Cao, do you share the same view? Do you still think that feed-in tariff 3 lower than 8.38 is still attractive?
Well, for the FIT, I don't have a specific view on this, because I don't have much experience on this. But what I heard or what I learned for the Vietnam market is that there are more utility applications and commercial applications more than the residential use. So if this is what you are talking about, I think the FIT for the residential use could be, if there is, could be adjusted to increase the residential use. But for the current situation, I have not too much information or knowledge about this, so probably no comments on this.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we have discussed generally about the solar rooftop solar market in the past few years and what we expect in the coming time. So I would like to use the remaining time of the session for the Q&A session, where we can have more specific questions from the audience. Yeah, so may I pass over to Miranda to start the Q&A session.
Hello. Yes. Actually, I found several questions on the Q&A box. So, you all speakers could find these questions, right? On the Q&A box.
Yeah, I already respond some of them actually.
Yes. So actually for left, three left questions. So the first one or second one or third one, is there any opinions for all panelists who would like to answering?
I think that the first one is for Tony.
Right.
Okay, for the first one, we have different models, and usually we have a DC over AC ratio is 1.2. It's a like standard number. So if this is what you are talking about, and we for the AC side, we have the inverter can sustain like 10% more capacity, based on the rated number. So for example, if we have like 80 kilowatt inverter, and for the DC side, we can sustain like 80 multiplied by 1.2 is like 96 kilowatt. So this would be my answer.
Yeah, finally, yes, I think it's fantastic. So I think the second one is from Denmark, Pranadi, and it was mentioned that the PPA is no problem. And could you please expand the PPA process in Vietnam for solar photovoltaic rooftop? So is there any interest to answer?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Yeah.
So, do you want the process to be able to do to sign PPA with client, or is the question related to the fact to sign a PPA as a client? So that I'm not sure. Like what I can answer is this second one is for if you are a client and if you are a user, commercial and industrial user, and you want to sign a PPA, then you need to find a developer. So you can contact us, or you can contact who if you want. And actually you will do an assessment, technical assessment of your rooftop, and financial assessment of the project to see what price per kilowatt hour we can provide you, and how much energy you can produce on site. Will help you to calculate the savings related to the PPA. Once it's done and we agree on term and conditions, then there will be a contract signed between LOS Energy and you. And then once we agree on that, there will be a construction period where we are getting all the authorizations and permits, etc. And we build the solar plants. And once it's built, we start to sell energy at the agreed price. So I'm not sure it was the questions, but just how it worked for PPA.
So the last question is probably for me because he called my name. So is the PPA allowed to sell electricity to the homeowners directly? At this point, I think you're probably talking about the direct PPA, DPPA. So at the moment, they are doing a pilot projects, the MOIT. So the answer is no. We can't do it yet. Unless the homeowner is also the roof owner, where you build the solar rooftop on top, then you can sell it to the person, the roof owner. But I think in the future, it's going to be it's going to be a market retail price. You negotiate the price with the client, and then you can sell it not only to the roof owner, but also to your neighbor, or even to someone that's not in the region, not close to you. So I think that's the way the market is going to in the future. All right.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Oh, I think there is another new questions from Nick Robinson. Can the PPA approach work for Rooftop for vitamins, hospitals, and schools, which have one flat lower rate? Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for hospitals, definitely it can work, because as I said, we are now looking for clients who are consuming 7 days a week, and this is the case for hospital. So definitely hospital are interesting users and clients for this kind of PPA. Schools is a bit tricky, because there is no school during the weekend, there is holidays, etc. So usually the price per kilowatt hour for school is quite high, and so compared to the grid price, it's not really interesting. So, but it can change if there is a feed-in tariff in the following months, of course. For hospital, it can be interesting right now, even without any feed-in tariff. For schools, it's a bit more complicated. I don't know if who you want to add something on this.
Yeah, I think we are interested in both hospital and schools. I think we actually have a person who's in charge of hospital and school. So for us, it's very possible. It's a good possibility. It just depends on whether you can make the financial model work. So, but if you do to give us a more specific question or specific location, we can give an answer whether it works or not. At the moment, I think it's a possibility, a really good one.
Yes, right. So I think that's all questions. So, so how about let me turn to another session about the lottery. I think so now, actually for Solis, they have already prepared 10 registered audience, the gift, and also for 5 live audience to have the lottery. So now I would like to announce the name about the 10 registered audience. So you could quickly check whether it includes you. Yes, I think it's Tao Pan from Bewa or in Vietnam, to Vu from the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, and Ko and Hong from Hai Kong, Vietnam, Merlin Mesram from the, I think is Boogers Batman International, Zoe Wing from Rising Energy, Du Tran from Marsh, Chavanat Chayarnu, I think, is from the Gukum PCL. And Brian Doom from the Asian Clean Capital Vietnam. Daniel Haberfield from Domeris LLP. And also, I think it's Anus or PE from PG. So I think it is the 10 lucky persons from a register. So also you could find the chat. This is the 5 lucky live audience. Actually, is the most active audience for this webinar. So I would like to give these lucky 5 persons. So after this webinar, we will give one-by-one gifts for each gift by email. So I think this is lottery time. And also, so thanks for all audience here and to watch today's webinar. By the way, thanks for Solis' help and support, and also Dan Chiliu, Wu Wing, Partry, and also our Tony Tao's help. So I think today's webinar is over now. So if you have any other things, questions for each speakers, you could send the email for me and I will transfer to them. So anyway, thanks for all. And I hope join next Thursday.
Bye. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miranda.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.